As of June 1864, 3 years into the Civil War and 1 year since Congress legalized African American recruitment, black soldiers had not received equal pay to white soldiers. The Militia Act of 1862 established the law for the salary of African American soldiers who were viewed as less valuable than white soldiers and therefore were paid almost half. Many African American soldiers, in protest of this inequality, refused all pay and by 1864 had not received an income for 1 year. Corporal Abram C. Sims was born in Ohio and worked as a farmer. On April 28, 1863, he enlisted into Company I of the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry and refused pay since enlistment. On July 2, 1864, Sims wrote a letter to the editor of the Christian Recorder stating, "It is said that this regiment has a good name, North, East, and West. Is that the only reward we are to receive for our services? Can our families live on glowing accounts of battles and brave deeds done by those who left their homes to fight for a free Union and a free institution? We have waited patiently for our pay and continue to do so. But, Mr. Editor, that valuable trait in our character is nearly extinct. The fact is, this regiment is bordering on demoralization." On June 15, 1864, Congress finally approved an act to equalize pay amongst all Union soldiers. African American soldiers who previously earned $10 per month minus a $3 uniform fee were now paid $13 per month plus a $3.50 uniform allowance equal to that of white soldiers. In support of equal pay, Kansas Senator Samuel Clark Pomeroy stated, "Mr. President, I think that in passing this act we shall do what we ought to have done in the beginning. We shall do what I think would recognize these men as full soldiers. Not half soldiers, not 2/3 soldiers, but really soldiers." Congress agreed to retroactively pay soldiers who were formerly enslaved back to January 1, 1864. Those soldiers already freed as of April 19, 1861, were paid back to the date of enlistment. The final amended law read, "That all persons of color who have been or may be mustered into the military service of the United States shall receive the same uniform, clothing, arms, equipment, camp equipage, rations, medical and hospital attendance, pay and emoluments, other than bounty as other soldiers of the regular or volunteer forces of the United States of like arm of the service, from and after the 1st day of January, 1864, and that every person of color who shall hereafter be mustered into the service shall receive such sums and bounty as the President shall order in the different states and parts of the United States, not exceeding $100. Francis Fletcher enlisted as a private in the 54th Regiment Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry back in February 1863 and refused all pay in protest of the inequality. He disagreed that retroactive pay to African American soldiers was enough to correct the past injustice. In a letter to his friend Jacob C. Safford on May 28, 1864, Fletcher writes his opinion of the Equal Pay Bill. "Just 1 year ago today, our regiment was received in Boston with almost an ovation, and at 5 p.m. it would be 1 year since we were safely on board, transport clear of Battery Wharf, and bound to this department. In that 1 year, no man of our regiment has received a cent of monthly pay, all through the glaring perfidy of the U.S. government. All the misery and degradation suffered in our regiment by its members' families is not atoned for the passage of the bill for equal pay." Although many African American soldiers were in favor of the bill, the distinction made between freed and enslaved soldiers created further inequality within the regiments. Now regimental leaders were forced to determine who was freed or enslaved as of April 19, 1861, and some soldiers were paid more than others. With morale low, African American soldiers continued to fight for the Union Army in battles such as the Siege of Petersburg and the coming Battle of the Crater. In a letter from one African American soldier in the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Regiment, he writes, "A strange misapprehension exists as to the matter of pay, and it pains us deeply. 3 times have we been mustered in for pay. Twice have we swallowed the insult offered us by the United States paymaster. Once, in the face of insult and intimidation, such as no body of men and soldiers were ever subjected to before, we quietly refused and continued to do our duty.